This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, what happens when a city prosecutor takes on a syndicate crime boss? You get a film noir. And since this is Noir-vember, let's get on with it. This film has a great cast, including an actor who became a childhood favorite of mine. Let's check it out. Today's film is The Turning Point from 1952, 90 minutes long, beautiful black and white, not to be confused with the other film called The Turning Point, which I believe was about dancing. This one is about a city prosecutor. He's new to the job, and he's ready to take on the boss of this crime syndicate in this big city with the help of his friend, his lifelong friend, who happens to be a newspaper reporter. Edmund O'Brien stars as Johnny, and I think at least half the film noirs, if not more, that I watch have somebody named Johnny in it, usually the main character. But Johnny is the city prosecutor, and Edmund O'Brien, great actor. When I think of him, I think of two films, The Hitchhiker and The Bigamist, which both happen to be directed by Ida Lupino. Really like him in those films. He was really not a leading man type as far as his looks go. So that was taken over by this co-star, William Holden, who was a leading man. He plays Jerry, and he is the newspaper reporter and friend of the Edmund O'Brien character. William Holden, so many great films. I think of, right off the bat, Sunset Boulevard, of course, and then later in his career, Network and The Wild Bunch. The female lead is Alexis Smith, an actress I'm not familiar with, and she's Johnny's girlfriend, but then she starts to become interested in Jerry as well, so there's a bit of a love triangle going on here. And the thing I like about her in this role is she's smart, very smart. She's not like a lot of females in film noir where she's not a femme fatale, she's not conniving or one-dimensional. So I really appreciate that about the character in this film. I wasn't really familiar with Alexis Smith's filmography, except I did notice later in her career, she was in The Age of Innocence, the Martin Scorsese film. Now you see a lot of great character actors sprinkled throughout The Turning Point, most notably Ed Begley playing the boss of the crime syndicate. And every time I think of Ed Begley, I picture him with a cigar in his mouth, and yep, he's smoking a cigar in this film. I also think of him in 12 Angry Men, which is a film that I used in my classes all the time. We used to read the play and act it out and everything, and like so many schools did. So I'm kind of burned out on 12 Angry Men. I think I've memorized that film. And then you have some bit parts by character actors that you probably recognize, including Russell Johnson, who went on to become the professor in Gilligan's Island. Whit Bissell, if you don't know that name, you've seen him a million times in TV shows and in movies. As soon as you see him, you say, oh, that's who you're talking about. Carolyn Jones has one scene. She, of course, became famous as Morticia in the Addams Family TV show. And then there's a character actor who I would always see growing up in these films I'd watch in black and white on TV. And I think, there's that guy again. And he was always good, and he had such an unusual face. And it got to the point where if he showed up, I knew it was going to be a good film. And then it got to the point where I had to learn this guy's name. I think it was probably the first, at least, character actor who I actually looked up and remembered and thought, whatever film this guy's in, I want to watch. I'm talking about Neville Brand. And he's in the end of this film playing a typical Neville Brand character. Very good. And he usually was in prison films I would watch growing up. There are several noir elements in this film, including, of course, a crime syndicate, a couple of killings, a newspaper reporter, and there are a few noirish visuals. It's not heavy with it, but there are sprinkled here and there throughout, including 3 or 4 really nice set pieces, which are not accompanied by music, and that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't need the music telling me something is happening that's exciting. Just let it play out without any music, and that's what they do in this film, which is good. It also takes place in an unnamed city, but if you're familiar at all with Los Angeles, you're going to recognize some of the landmarks, especially the Angel's Flight funicular, where 2 of the characters go right up in the one scene in this film. There is no femme fatale, like I mentioned. There is some of that snappy, noirish dialogue, but only really from the William Holden character, where he speaks, has some witty remarks and speaks very directly and tersely. Otherwise, I wouldn't say the dialogue is very noirish. This is not a low-budget film. High production values, a lot of people in this one, nice big sets. It's a very high-budget, well-done film. It is not very emotionally involving, I would say. You don't get into it that way. You're at more of a distance from it and admiring it. I will admit that I actually watched it twice because there's a lot going on here, and I wasn't sure I caught everything the first time. Well, the first time I saw about an hour of it, and so I watched it all over again from the beginning, so made more sense that time. So there's a lot happening. And also, as one of the extras comments, it's based sort of piggybacking on the Kefauver Committee, which was a political committee from Senator Kefauver, and looking into organized crime, which happened in 1950, 1951. So a few years later, I think this is kind of reflecting that committee. So for all those reasons, the literate script, the great cast, some of those set pieces, this is a very solid film, even if it's not that emotionally involving. Still, I'm going to give it 4 newspapers out of 5. Now, what's on this disc? This is an imprint disc, and it actually comes from a box set, which is this one here, Essential Film Noir Volume 3. I don't have the first 2 volumes. This was the one I wanted because I wanted all 4 films, so I thought, why not just get the box set? The other films in here include The Strange Loves of Martha, is it Martha? Martha Ivers, which is generally considered one of the best noirs. I've seen it once, it's very good. And then another one with Barbara Stanwyck, which is No Man of Her Own, which I have not seen. And then a Bogart film, The Desperate Hours. So I wanted all these films, so got the box set. But the good news is, if you don't want to get the box set, you can get The Turning Point separately on Kino, the Kino label. Also, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers is on Kino as well. So if you just want those 2, if you don't want to, spend a lot, you can get this one maybe on sale, a Kino sale. Otherwise, it's probably about $20. And there's that. So this one on imprint, though, has the picture quality's good, a little blurry here and there. The audio's fine. There are a couple of extras, including an audio commentary, which I did not listen to, but it's done by Alan K. Rohde. I've mentioned him before. He's great, total film noir authority. I've seen him appear a couple times at the Film Noir Festival. There is a short documentary, I'd say maybe 15, 20 minutes long, by a journalist, and really talking about every aspect of this film. Is very good, talking about the actors and the background of the film. And then I believe that's all you get on this one. So Turning Point, either part of the box set, or if you want to just get it on Kino, you can get it that way too. So Noirvember, here we go. Hope you like this video. Please feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. We're getting close to our next goal of 375. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.